chapter number 1, the complete introduction on the regulatory framework. Okay. So the heading is Indian regulatory framework, how the laws are defined, what are the ways we have to understand the act and the laws, everything will be discussed over. Yeah. It's actually a very small topic, just running for 10 or 11, 12 pages only it's running for. Going to be a very small topic. You'll have a very wider idea on understanding this topic. Probably you remember, we might have been discussed directly will not get something called as act. Remember, first it will be drafted by a committee. Okay. For example, we have done with company law. It was drafted from when? 2004 onwards. After that, we have as a specific act from the year 2013. So it was like a 10 years work. So when we want to have an act, suddenly a prime minister or chief minister of any state directly cannot give a document, sign it, and say this is the act you have to follow from this date. No, nobody can say that. Okay. If it is a rules, if it is a regulation, it's a proper procedure. It has to follow by this one only, which means a draft should be done. Then it has to be taken as a bill. Then it has to be passed in Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Yes, you know already. Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Then you have to get the president assent from whom? Prime Minister, not from governor or other persons. For central acts, you have to get the assent from the Prime Minister. For state acts, you have to get the assent from the Chief Minister. Is it okay? After this only we'll get this as an act. So this I have discussed many number of times. Even this is a first topic. I will not handle this as a first topic always. Okay, because you will feel like दूसरा படிக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கும் ஏன் அந்த மாதிரி படிச்சுட்டு okay so we'll give the feel why we need to talk about this regulatory framework and obviously we are going to talk about Indian laws only, that's why the heading is the Indian regulatory framework. Why we need to understand this topic is when we say regulatory rules, regulation, act, or when we use the word statute, which means legislation. So, okay, statute means legislation. It means we need to have uniformity in rules and regulation. Am I right? Okay. Tell me, whether can you wear helmet while going in a road? Whether you can wear a helmet while going on the road? You can wear, but many will see in a different way. என்னாச்சு இவருக்கு நடந்துக்கிட்டே ஹெல்மெட் போட்டு போறாரு கார்ல உட்காந்து ஹெல்மெட் போட்டு போறாரு see you can wear helmet while going on the road but what the law says you have to wear helmet while riding a that is driving a bike that is you're using a two-wheeler and that also the two-wheeler is a cycle are not necessary am I right how the act is here is everybody should wear a helmet while going in a bike while traveling in the road when while using a bike. But if you understand in a different sense, means law is not responsible for it. Am I right? Law is not responsible for it. So why we have this law? Because there are millions and millions of people in the world. Okay, why talk about the world? Let's talk about India only. Largest population in the world. There are so many citizens here, so many people here of different age groups and gender variations. In this sense, each and everybody has to have a rules or regulations consistently and uniformly because for me it should not be a different rule, for you it should not be a different rule. You agree with me? எனக்கு ஒரு ரூலாம் உங்களுக்கு ஒரு ரூலாம் அப்படி இருந்தா எப்படி நம்ம ஃபாலோ பண்ண மாட்டோம்ல சரி ஓகே if it is uniform only then we can be very pakka with what we are doing so we need to have uniformity that's about the purpose of this regulatory framework why we need to conduct the people interacting with each other in personal as well as business relationship. Is it okay? Let us go for ancient law because law means you are not going to directly what was the act came yesterday, what was the act came 10 years before. No, we'll go for the very beginning ancient law. Ancient law is nothing called as Code of Hammurabi. Okay, probably you can get this in 1 mark or a short question and it's a very easy topic only. This code of Hammurabi is called as stone codes. You know why it's called as stone codes? Let us check why it is called as stone codes. Stone codes. Actually, exactly, it will not be like this. No. See, this is the stone course. Okay. கல்லுல செதுக்கி இருக்காங்க அதானே மேம் அதேதான் வேற ஒண்ணும் இல்ல. Okay. So what's beauty in this, ma'am? Even if you go to temples, you can see all these scripts and all written in temple walls and all. What's the beauty in this? Means this code of Hammurabi is somewhat important because how do you know law? Now we have internet. Now we have technology. We have the earlier. See, we are talking about the ancient law. It will be carved in bulky stone slabs and it will be kept in different places all over the city so that it will be taken to the knowledge of the public. இது பண்ணணும் பண்ணணும் ஹெல்மெட் வேர் பண்ணக்கூடாதுன்னு எப்படி தெரியும் அனௌன்ஸ்மெண்ட் வருது இல்ல ஓகே அதை பேஸ் பண்ணி தானே தெரியும் இந்த பீப்புளுக்கு எப்படி தெரியும் அந்த டைம்ல அனௌன்ஸ்மெண்ட் மேக் பண்றதுக்கு எல்லாமே வந்து என்ன தண்டோர் அடிப்பாங்கல்ல அந்த மாதிரி தான் பண்ணுவாங்க ஸோ மறந்து போயிடும்ல அப்ப என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா இந்த மாதிரி ஸ்டோன் ஸ்லாப்ஸ்ல வந்து எழுதி அங்கங்க பிளேஸ்ல வச்சிருவாங்க okay so you can read it and you can come to aware of that okay and how it is being followed whether the public of following that or not judges are appointed to check whether the public is following the laws or not this is a code given by Hammurabi so it's a very old ancient code and is highly called as famously called as stone codes why the reason is because the stone slabs will be kept in public use okay next, we have this something called as 12 tables. 12 tables means it's 12 bronze tables. First is stone, second is bronze. Okay, third gold, ma'am, kikadingi. Varla. Adi paper phone which. Bronze course is very famous because this is the first one. It is given as a very detailed code, most detailed code that will be suitable for many of the civilizations. So when this is brought means it's the period and origin is 420 BC Rome. Okay, it's called as 12 tables because it was having 12 bronze codes. Okay. So it is in the written form, engraved in the 12 bronze tablets. Tablets or tables like purpose to protect the rights of the public, to provide remedy for wrongs. Two purpose. Please make a note. Two purpose. What are the two purpose? One is for what is your right, and if you do anything wrong, what is the remedy for? Remedy means what? Punishment. Okay. All the citizens were supposed to have the knowledge of these tables, and many amendments were done in this law as per the requirements. So ultimately, if you understand what is a law, it's nothing but set of obligations and duties. Where? Who is imposing? I am imposing? No. You are imposing? No. Who's imposing? This is for the whole India. Okay, imposing by the government. For what purpose? For securing welfare and providing justice to society. Please highlight two things. For securing wealth, ஏன் கவர்மெண்ட் வந்து பார்க் எல்லாம் வைக்கணும் ஒரு ஏரியால ஒரு பார்க் வைக்கிறாங்க ஏன் வந்து இந்த ரெக்ரியேஷன் கிளப்ஸ் எல்லாம் இருக்கணும் தேவையில்ல ஓகே ஏன் டெம்பிள் ஏதாவது என்ன லைக் ஃபெஸ்டிவல்ஸ் எல்லாம் ஏன் இந்த லா அண்ட் ஆர்டர் ஃபாலோ பண்ணணும் தேவையில்லையே அப்படி இல்லைல்ல வெல்ஃபேர் வேணும்ல இட்ஸ் நாட் யூ ஒர்க் you're born, you work, you die. அந்த மாதிரி இல்ல இல்லையா there are so many things happening in our life and recreation is one important thing so you have to give the welfare is you're making or the government is trying to keep you comfortable okay right continuing so we'll go for India's legal framework yes we have all the aspects obviously not only our nation every nation follows all the aspects social aspect, political aspect, economical aspect, and in addition to that, famous one, India we are following is cultural aspect. Okay, for vast and diversified country. Sources of law, yes, please highlight important. We follow a law from where? Constitution of India. We have the preamble, right? Okay, we follow from Constitution of India. And not only that, there are many central acts and state acts given or made by the parliament and state assemblies respectively. If it is made by the parliament, what act is that? Central Act. Okay. If it is made by the State Assembly, it's called as the State Acts. Okay. So Parliament is the ultimate lawmaking, or some L is missing, at least make a note of it. Lawmaking body. First one, Constitution. Second one, statutes or laws made by the Parliament and State Assemblies. Third one, precedents or the judicial decisions of various courts. There is a case law or a litigation going in Supreme Court and this Supreme Court judge or the bench is giving the order means that becomes a law which means all the inferior courts has to follow. Inferior courts na yaru? High courts, other district courts. they can take this as a law and they can follow, even though it's not as a written law. Please try to understand. It's not a written law. It is not made in the parliament. It's not made in the state assembly. But still, Supreme Court has given the order. That's why we follow. Where? In High Court, in district courts. Okay. இன்னும் சொல்ல போனா most of the cases வந்து higher courtsல decision கொடுத்திருப்பாங்க இல்லையா அதை வச்சுதான் நிறைய cases prove ஆகுது that is favor ஆகலாம் against ஆகும். Okay. And fourth one, by customs and usage. What do you mean by customs? I follow. Why you follow? I don't know. I asked my mom. She said I follow. She asked her mom. Okay, she said she is following that. அப்படியே போகும் எதுக்குன்னே தெரியாதான் ஃபாலோ பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம் வழி வழியா generation by generation will be following. That's what you call as customs. A group of people will be following. They will not know when this practice started, when this habit started. They don't know, but they still follow it. Okay, we'll call that as by custom and by usage. We should not know from where it is being started. That's what you call as customs or usage. More about sources of law. If you go for our constitution, our nature of the constitution is the basis and source of all the laws. Who are the representatives? They will be elected to the parliament, as well as parliament in the sense central level and state assemblies in the various state levels. And what is the representative's role here? To make the laws and in the state assemblies. Applicability, if passed by the parliament, yes, obviously central act. It's applicable throughout India. Sometimes they will be mentioning that this will be applicable to one portion or one state or to one gender or whatever it is. Okay. So, portion of India. And passed by state legislation only within the borders of the state concerned. Is it okay? So, let us go for Government of India Act, which we have from the year 1935. Okay. When we got independence? 1947. But from when we have this one? 1935. Okay. So, it's passed by the Parliament of the UK. The precursor for the Constitution of India. Okay. Because when we have Constitution of India? Yes, when we have Constitution of India? 1950. Okay. We got independence in the year 1947. After that, a team was formed. And who's the chairman for this team? Dr. Ambedkar. Avadana father law. Nana father of the nation. He is the father of law. Okay. Dr. Ambedkar. So, and we have this 1950 from where we follow our own charter. That's what is Constitution of India. From where we have this Constitution of India. Obviously, we are following from the UK law. ஏன்னா அவங்க தானே நம்மள வந்து கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தாங்க அவங்க லாவும் பார்ப்போம் and moreover from Government of India Act we are following the many things. So what this act is, it defines the characteristics of the government. It says that it is a unitary government, it is a federal government. What do you mean by unitary government? It's the sole government. Okay, actually not the sole government. No, we have central government and state government. Along with that we have municipalities, panchayats, so many things we have. So whether it's sole or federal means more than one. Okay, whether it's sole or federal. Earlier it was sole, then it was made federal. Okay. Then fourth point, powers were distributed between center and state because each and every state will have different uniqueness because we have different cultures. So we need to give the importance for the state level people. The Tamilian or Mariana or feel. Okay, when you go for Kerala, they will give a different feel. Even for food items, even for habits you practice, everything is getting changed. Okay, so that's why to avoid any disputes, probably state is given the power where you can have your own laws within that state. But in case there arises any clashes or crashes now, then obviously center will be interfering in that matters. Okay, and we have this federal court established in the year 1937. Which has the jurisdiction of appellate jurisdiction. What do you mean by appellate jurisdiction? If you want to file an appeal case, you can go over there. Not filing an appeal case, you can directly go and file a case. Yes, original case you can file. And not only that, it has the advisory capacity also. It can advise the lower level courts to do this, not to do this. Okay. So what's the jurisdiction? Jurisdiction means scope. Okay. Scope or what you call as powers. Usually in law terms, will not use the term scope or powers, will use the term jurisdiction when it comes completely legislative act. Okay. So we have appellate level, original level and advisory level for federal court powers. When it goes for appellate jurisdiction, okay, appellate jurisdiction. See, we are talking about Supreme Court, federal court, not Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is pair. Okay. So when we talk about appellate jurisdiction, it's extended for both civil and criminal laws. See, we have civil cases where you go and refer civil court. Okay, that's a separate court for civil cases. When there is a crime happening, to which court you go? You go to criminal courts. There is a separate court. But when we talk about Supreme Court, this Supreme Court, whether it's civil cases or criminal cases, you can directly go for appealing to Supreme Court. Okay, so Supreme Court has a jurisdiction to cover both civil cases and criminal cases. Advisory jurisdiction, which means what is the powers in case something is happening or something they need to advise. Yes, extended with the powers to federal court to advise Governor General in matters of public opinion. It's operated for 12 years and here roughly around how many cases? 151 cases. Then we have this constitution given court called as what? Supreme Court of India. So Supreme Court of India under the Constitution of India now. From when we have this federal court? 1937. So almost 12 years பிறகுதான் என்ன ஆச்சு நமக்கு Supreme Court வந்து. Which means 1950 வந்துச்சுல்ல. Constitution of India வரும்போது Supreme Court வந்துட்டாங்க. So there is no federal court after that. Okay. Then Constitution of India, the foremost law, deals with the framework within which our democratic system works. So we know for the people, by the people, of the people. Okay. Our laws are made for the people, by the people, and of the people. Provides for and protects certain fundamental rights of citizens. Lays down fundamental duties as well as the powers and duties of governments, both central level and state level. Is it okay? Laws in India, it's all interconnected. Okay, because we have a different hybrid legal system. The people who wrote the constitution decided to divide the lawmaking power between both central levels and state levels. Now, the problem, or there should not be a clash. Which one will be taken by which government? Central government or state government? I should not get the doubt, right? So that's why we have these three lists called as list 1 named as central list, list 2 named as state list, and list 3 named as joint list. Is it okay? Central list, what are the matters listed in list 1? That is the central list. It will be taken care by whom? Central government. What are the matters listed in list 2? Which will be called as a state list, which will be taken care by state government, and all those matters listed in list 3 called as joint list will be taken joint list, or you can please make a note of it. It is also called as concurrent list. Joint list or concurrent list. This will be taken care. Probably you cannot say both central government and state government. And the list opposite yaroda name irukko central government irundha that will be taken care by central government. If it is given as state government, it will be see which government is mentioned over there, that government will be taken care of. Okay, if no government is mentioned, automatically central government will be taken care of. Okay. Nature, depending on the list in which it figures a matter, would become the subject for central law or state law. So if you want to refer anything, you'll go and check in which list it lies. List 1 or list 2 or list 3 or it lies in list 2. Then no issues. State government will take care. What is the role of central government over here? You have to check whether state government is taking care of that. Please try to understand. Okay, you remember one case law we were discussing in company law. State of Bihar case. You remember? State of Bihar case. While discussing the doctrine of lifting of corporate veil, who has to pay the salaries to the employees working in public sector undertakings? Public sector undertaking means it's a government company. So who's holding government company is state of Bihar. That's in Bihar state. That's why it's being taken care of by the state government. So if this public sector undertaking is not paying the employees the payment, salary or wages or whatever it is, who is responsible? You cannot say the company is responsible because the company is under the control. Because it's a public sector undertaking, the company is under the control of government. So the state is responsible. That's why the case was filed directly on the state. Is it okay? So if this is the list given means, okay, if the state government is holding a control of any company, if this is the list given means, who has to take care? State government. If state government is not doing that, the case will be filed on Supreme Court. Or else central government will check through whether the state government is doing all the work. Okay. So that's about the three lists. So example for income tax related, this is the implementation given by Ministry of Finance, taken care by whom? Central government. Levy of stamp duty. Yeah, please highlight. When you talk about stamp duty, both central government and state government have the laws governing. Okay, it's not only central government, it's not only state government. Again, in the concurrent list, it will be mentioned both state or central, only central or only state. If nothing is mentioned, central. Is it okay? So that's about this heading. Now, how the law is made. Already we have discussed this one, so let me take up the speed. Bill. First, what it comes as? A bill. It's a law proposed in parliament. Actually, it's not directly a bill. அதுக்கு முன்னாடி என்ன நடந்துக்கும்? ஒரு draft create பண்ணுவாங்க. Who has created the draft? A committee will be formed. Okay. அதுக்கு முன்னாடி MCAல இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு டிராஃப்ட் கிரியேட் பண்ணலாம்னு சொல்லிட்டு போட்டுப்பாங்க கம்பெனில அதான். Okay. So what happens is actually they are directly going for a bill, but before that itself we have a lengthy process. Okay. So a bill will be proposed in Parliament. After discussion and debate, what the law is passed in Lok Sabha. Thereafter, it has to be passed in Rajya Sabha. It can be alternate also. Rajya Sabha first and Lok Sabha second. It can be anything. Only for money bill it will be different. Then you obtain the assent of the President of India. Okay. Okay, President of India, and it should be notified President and Governor. Did I say Prime Minister and Chief Minister? Solinda the tappu. Sorry, probably wrong by words. Okay, exacta on the President. Okay, then notified by the government in the publication called as Official Gazette of India. Date of applicability. It will be clearly mentioned in the notification, which is the effective date. If no effective date is mentioned, whatever the date mentioned as such, it will be taken forward. Okay, which means some laws will have uh, uh, post dated. Post dated now, probably today's date is the date published in the notification. Okay, just for example, I'm saying, okay, this is not definitely applicable for Modi ji. His family, just for example, I'm saying, okay, this is not definitely applicable for Modi ji. His family is in one state. Often he is visiting that state. What do you think? His family means now no wife and no mother and all. Mother is passed away. So no wife and no mother. In case ஒரு family இருந்து அந்த ஸ்டேட்டுக்கே ஃபிளைட்ல போயிட்டு போயிட்டு வந்திருந்தா சார்ட்டர் ஃபிளைட்ல என்ன நினைப்பீங்க? அந்த ஸ்டேட்டுக்கு போறான்னா என்ன வைஃப் பசங்களை பார்க்க போறாரு அப்படிதான் நினைப்பீங்க. That's why I said this is not now suitable for Modi ji. Okay. So why I'm saying this, nobody should question it. Okay. You can say that nobody is questioning it, but what country is ours? Democratic country. Democratic country வந்து ஏன் நாடு இல்ல? It's for the people and by the people தானே. அப்ப ஏன் நாடு நான் கொஸ்டின் கேட்க கூடாதா அப்படின்னு வரும்போது RTI கொண்டு வராங்க. RTI ஆக்ட்ல எனக்கு இந்த இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் வேணும்னு சொல்லிட்டு நீங்க கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃபீஸ்ல போய் கேட்டீங்கன்னா அவங்க கவர்மெண்ட் தரணும். பட் அவங்க அதுக்கு ரெடியா எடுத்து வச்சிருக்கணும்ல. We need to have time, right? So the act came on one date, but it was made applicable after 3 months' time because there should be an officer appointed to that department called as information officer. அப்ப appointed time கொடுக்கணும்ல. So it will not be implemented immediately sometimes. So the date will be mentioned. So notified and effective date from when it is applicable in the different arms, but when can be implemented in the வேற மாதிரி இருக்கும். Okay. Then we'll go for types of laws in the Indian legal system. Okay, types of laws in the Indian legal system. Criminal law. So everybody should get protection. Law or the main intention வந்து whether I am protected ஆன்னு பார்க்கறதுக்கு பதிலா whether you're protected from me ஆன்னு பார்க்கணும். புரியுதா? I may be doing anything wrong for you. You're protected. See, ஐங்கிறது நான் ஜெனரலா சொல்றேன். Bad people may be doing wrong to the good people. Whether good people are protected from bad people, அதுதானே பார்க்கணும். போலீஸ் எல்லாம் எதுக்கு இருக்கு? Okay, so if anything wrong is done, you are not following the law because when we talk about regulatory framework, we say that we need to have uniform rules and regulations. So when we talk about law, when we talk about public wrongs, when we talk about punishment, everything will be there and it's been codified. That's about code of criminal procedure. What are the laws we are following? Actually, we had IPC. IPC is quite famous. Okay, உங்களுக்கு law தெரியும்னா ஐபிசில 4 நம்பரை போட்டா லாயர்னு சொல்லிடுவாங்க. கரெக்டா? No, it is not IPC. It is BNS in short. இப்பதான் 2023 தான் வந்துச்சு. பாரதிய நியாய சன்ஹிதா. Defines the crime, its nature and its punishment. What are called? See, we know Indian Contract Act. We talk about coercion. What is coercion? As defined as IPC. So if it is crime means it will be clearly defined in Indian Penal Code. What is its nature and the punishments will be there. How you have to follow this? The procedure. It is given in where? Criminal Procedure Code. See, this and all, it's very backdated. But நம்ம இப்போ 2023ல இருந்து ஃபாலோ பண்றது புது ஆக்ட்ஸ். This is called as பாரதிய நகாரிக் சுரக்ஷா சன்ஹிதா. Okay, so this is BNS in short. In case you cannot recall the full name is, please try to recall. In case you cannot recall means, you can just write it in short. Is it okay? So this is both and from the year 2023 only. So this gives an exhaustive procedure. Exhaustive procedure means we know this is a crime and we have the punishment. Director, இந்த தப்பு நீ பண்ணப்பா punishment சொல்ல முடியாது. Okay, if you're not wearing a helmet and you got caught by a police, obviously they'll ask for the fine penalty. You pay income. But if there is a crime happening, fraud or forgery or some murder or some sexual harassment happening, directly you cannot call and you cannot go and say hang to that. Probably sexual harassment cases are நடக்குது. Immediate பண்ணணும். But other cases If there is a murder happened, நீங்க check பண்ணி பார்க்கணும், you have to collect the evidence. So many procedures are there, right? Those procedures where it is covered, not in IPC, it's covered in criminal procedure. Is it okay? Criminal offense, murder, rape, theft, fraud, cheating, assault, everything can be. So one law we have done, criminal. Shall I go for the next law? Civil law deals with matters of dispute between individuals or organization, enforces the violation of certain rights and obligations, which means what? You can institute a civil law. Probably, if you want to understand civil law in a better angle, means go directly linked with Contract Act or Sale of Goods Act. Okay, you made a promise, the other person made a promise, the other person is not keeping up the promise, which means you sold the goods to the other person. That person is not making the payment. What you do? Pana keeping, what you do? You file a case for claiming the promise. That's nothing but civil law. That's about civil cases. So dispute between individuals and the organizations may be. Probably you're enforcing the violation of certain rights and obligations. That's what you say. Enforcing means what? You're instituting a civil suit. Focuses primarily on dispute resolution rather than punishment. Please highlight. Probably many number of times I might have repeated, when it comes to a civil case and criminal case, the main distinction or the main difference here is, when it comes for criminal, we'll have penalty, fine and imprisonment. When we have civil, see, fine and imprisonment are punishments. Okay, when we talk about civil law, they are not punishments. Instead, what are they? Compensation and damages. You remember? Civil cases are compensation and damages are. So that's about, rather than punishment, we focus on how it can be resolved. And it's governed by CPC, called as Code of Civil Procedure. Is it okay? 1908. So for the classification, we have law of contracts, family law, property law of torts, and these are the civil offences in short, to understand in a better way. Examples: breach of contract, you're not delivering the goods, you're not paying the dues to the lender, or some deformation is happening, and disputes between landlord and tenant. Deformation cases are always civil cases. Now, அதுக்கு பேர் என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க? Tortன்னு சொல்லுவோம். Tort is nothing but civil wrong. Tort is nothing but civil wrong. Example, deformation case போட்டுக்கலாம். Deformation. Is it okay? Next is third one, common law, which means it's a judicial precedent or a case law. Okay, we don't have exact provisions for what is happening, but some case laws happen in the Supreme Court where the other high courts, civil courts, criminal courts will be following. There is a case happened in High Court. Supreme Court need not follow, but the other lower level courts will be following. What I'm trying to say here is, ஒரு superior court வந்து ஒரு judgment கொடுத்திருக்காங்கன்னா, that can be taken as the law for the inferior courts. Okay, the lower level courts, as per the hierarchy. So when a judgment is delivered by the Supreme Court, it will be binding upon the courts within the territory of India, under which article it is. See, few says applicable means we need to talk about the validity of the application. எங்க அது validity சொல்லிருக்காங்க? Indian Constitution, Article 141. Supporting principle. So this is called as doctrine, and this doctrine is what you call as doctrine of stand decisis. Decisis means decision taken. Okay. So it's a Latin maxim. So it means to stand by that what is decided. See, it's decided, right? You stand by that. Decisis, decision made. Stand means stand by. Reinforces what the application of courts will follow, probably the same civil or judgment or whatever on is, and is all similar to the cases what you call as four legs. முன்னாடி சொல்லிட்டாங்கல்ல, four legs means balanced. Okay, stand, அதுதான் மீன் பண்றாங்க. Principles of natural justice. Probably we will come across something called as principle of natural justice and principle of equality. Remember when we talk about quasi contracts, we'll talk about principle of equality. Everybody are equal before law. So one should not get benefits and one shouldn't get benefits in the contract act. So natural justice, equality, etc. So it deals with fundamental principles of justice going beyond written law. So if anything is written, see, laws are made uniform. For me, it may be favorable. For you, it may not be favorable sometimes. But what law says is majority can be favorable. That's about natural justice. Okay. Nemo judex in causa sua, which means no one should. Guys, please highlight this one. Okay. Next is audi alteram partem, which means hear the other party or give the other party a fair hearing. Another the judgmentல வந்து கேசஸ் எல்லாம் கொடுக்கும்போது அக்யூஸ்ட்னு ஒருத்தர் கன்விக்ட் நிக்க வச்சிருப்பாங்கல்ல, அவங்க கிட்ட நீ பண்ணியான்னு கேட்பாங்க. ஓகே, அவன் ஒத்துக்க மாட்டான்ல, ஒத்துக்கணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லைல்ல. ஐ only did the murder சொல்லி நானே ஒத்துக்கிட்டேன். அதுக்காக என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, they'll collect the evidence against him. So if he is saying I did not do it now, what the other party, what other party to the litigation, what will be doing? He'll be creating the evidence, or not creating, he'll be collecting the evidence against the party. You know, prove பண்ணனும்ல. That's the law. So audi alteram partem, which means you have to give the other party or hear the other party, or you have to give an opportunity for hearing the other party. Is it okay? It should be a recent decision making. That's what we follow in rules of natural justice. Following, a judgment cannot override or alter a common law. W is missing, sorry. But it cannot override or change the statute. Actually, a judgment can override, which means that any judgment is given in High Court. You can override by appealing a case in Supreme Court. That can be done. But you cannot override or change the statute. Statute நம்ம மாத்த முடியாது. Okay, continuing. Enforcing the law is what you call as execution. If you turn to the wrapper side of Singer material, you know 4 organs, right? The last pink color wrapper, you have the 4 organs. What are the 4 organs we have? One is law-making body, called as the legislative organ. Legislation, law-making body. Once it is made by law, who's making it? Parliament, right? Parliament and state assemblies. Once it is made, it has to be executed. Okay, who's executing it? IAS officers, police officers, prime minister, chief minister, other ministries, everybody are executing it. After execution, if there is a dispute, who has to resolve it? Judges, courts. Courts means judiciary system. Courts means Supreme Court, High Court, Civil Court, etc., everything. Okay. If you check about these 3 organs, if you ask me what is the 4th organ, that's the military organ, protection of our boundary and country. Okay. So we are not talking about the military organ. Military organ is out of our scope as of now. It's taken completely controlled by central government. All the other 3 organs, first, second, and third, it's taken control both by central and state government. So if we talk about these 3 organs, 1, 2, and 3, please remember it's all independent. Law-making body, parliament, is different from executing body, it's different from judiciary. That's why when a law is made, Prime Minister is not giving the assent. Who is giving the assent? See, Prime Minister is the government official. Who is giving the assent? President. He's the first citizen of India. Okay. So when you go for execution, so the law is made, now it has to be executed. What's the job of the execution? To monitor whether the law is being followed, whether you're paying the tax. If you're not paying the tax, the income tax authority will send you the notice. Pay the balance. There is a difference. Pay the balance. Okay. Central law, government ministries, central government. State law, departments of the state and state government. So when you talk about ministries, we have so many ministries. I'm not going word by word. We have Ministry of Finance, Corporate Affairs, Home Affairs, Law and Justice, and we have a head for this, and that head will be called as a minister. And we'll be having the administrative team, IAS and IRFS services run பண்ணுவாங்க, and composition civil servants like employed officials, political accountable ministers இவங்க இருப்பாங்க. Head வந்து cabinet minister who sits in the Union Council of Ministers. Okay, and junior ministers will be there. Okay, example, when you talk about Income Tax Act, it is implemented and enforced by which ministry? There should be a ministry, right? Ministry of Finance. Through which one? Which board? Central Board for Direct Taxes, CBDT. Coming under which department? Department of Revenue, DOR in short. And who is administering it? IRF, IRS. IAS money, IRS. Okay. So when you talk about Ministry of Finance, we'll call it as Vitta Mantralaya. It's a ministry dealing with economy of India, and it's serving as a treasury of India. Income tax collect பண்றதுதான் உங்களுக்கு revenue government. Am I right? So serving as a treasury of India. So these are covering these areas. So sorry, not these. The ministry is covering these areas: taxation, financial legislation, financial institutions, capital markets, central and state finances, union budget, and it holds the whole portfolio of finance minister. Who is the head for this Ministry of Finance? Who is the minister, main minister? Okay, finance minister. Okay, and the union budget will be presented. It's a very important function. You have seen this union budget presenting. ஒரு கேப்ஷன் போடுவாங்க. இப்பெல்லாம் லைவ் நியூஸ் தானே போகுது. முன்னாடி எல்லாம் முடிஞ்ச பிறகுதான் நியூஸ் வரும். அது ஒரு புக்லெட் மாதிரி கொடுப்பாங்க. இப்பெல்லாம் வந்து லைவ் தானே போகுது. லைவோட ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கேப்ஷன் எப்படி தெரியுமா இருக்கும்? the important function started. தெரியுமா கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா? How the budget will start. Okay, how the budget will start. Who's the finance minister? நிர்மலா சீதாராமன். Okay, அவங்க வந்து ஒரு பெரிய டப்பால ஹல்வா கிண்டுற மாதிரி ஒரு கரண்டியை போட்டிருப்பாங்க, பார்த்திருக்கீங்களா? Usually the union budget will start serving with sweet. ஹல்வா இல்ல, அது ஸ்வீட். சும்மா பொலோக்கெல்லாம் சொன்னா நீங்க ஹல்வா நினைச்சுக்காதீங்க. ஸ்வீட்ல ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுவோம். போன பட்ஜெட்டா I think usually it comes in February. Okay, I think previous year நினைக்கிறேன் கேசரி போட்டான். The caption will be this one. See, I'm not joking. I'm not. என்ன மேம் பட்ஜெட் எல்லாம் விட்டு ஸ்வீட்டை பத்தி பேசுறாங்க. See, the caption will be this one. The budget started with கேசரி. இப்படிதான் இருந்தது. ஓகே, என்னன்னா considers a very important function because எவ்வளவு பணம் கலெக்ட் ஆயிருக்கு, எவ்வளவு செலவு பண்ணும் பட்ஜெட் இல்லையா? Okay, so it's an annual event. Professionals and the common man as it provides the rates and rights of taxes, budget and all everything. Okay, and how this Ministry of Finance is constituted? It consists of 4 central civil services. See, the topic எல்லாம் வந்து ஈஸியா எழுதலாம்ப்பா. What are the 4 civil services? IRS, IAS, not IAS, IAS, Accounts and Audits and Account Service, IES, Economic Service, ICAS, Civil Account Service. Apart from this, we have one Central Commerce Services, Indian Cost and Management Accountants Service. Is it okay? So, department of under the ministry. So, we have all these departments: Department of Economic Affairs, Expenditure, Revenue, Financial Services, Investment and Public Asset Management, and DPE. DPE is the famous Department of Public Enterprises. This is Ministry of Finance. Okay. Can you go for Ministry of Corporate Affairs? Shall I? It's the Indian Government Ministry administering Companies Act 1956, 2013. First one. See it together. Even though we have 2013 Act now, still we are following some provisions. For example, like producer company. Still we are following 1956 Act now. Okay. Second one, 1956 Act alone, because many companies are incorporated under 1956 Act only. Limited Liability Partnership Act, if any LLP is incorporated, so we have to follow Limited Liability Partnership Act, not Partnership Act. Please try to remember. Partnership Act is meant for firms. Limited Liability Partnership Act is meant for LLPs. Okay, Limited Liability Partners, that is partnership firms, not partnership firms. Limited Liability Partnership firms comes under Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Okay, and third and fourth, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So if anybody, any individual or any company or any LLP is becoming bankrupt, so insolvent, directly they'll go and refer which one? Not Companies Act or not LLP. Which one they'll refer? Yes, please join. Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Okay. So responsible for the regulation of Indian enterprises in industrial and also in service sector. Who is running this? Civil servants. These officers are elected to civil service examination conducted. You know this IAS, IRS exam and all, right? And the highest post is affixed by apex scale for ICLS. Then we have, let me take over, Ministry of Home Affairs, Graha Mantralaya. So it's one of the ministry falling under the government of India. It's an interior ministry, Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, it's a interior ministry. Ministry of External Affairs is foreign to Ministry of Internal Affairs is home. It is mainly responsible for the maintenance of internal security and domestic policy, and the Home Ministry is headed by Union Minister of Home Affairs. And what are the departments falling under this case? Border Management, Internal Security, Official Language, Department of States, Department of Home, Department of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh Affairs, and everything. And when we talk about Department of Official Language, we'll talk about Central Translation Bureau, Central Hindi Training Institute, and Directorate of Sensex Operations. Okay, Sensex. Let me finish it off. Ministry of Law and Justice is a cabinet ministry dealing with the law and justice, dealing with the legal affairs. Through which department? We have a separate department for legislation. So legislative department. Through the Department of Legal Affairs, all the activities will be taken over, and administration of justice will be done through the Department of Justice. The Department of Legal Affairs will be concerned with advising various capacity or whatever it is called. It is giving the advices. Okay, advisory capacity. Legislative department is involved with the drafting of principal legislation for central government. And we have Department of Legal Affairs, which in short we'll call it as DLA, Legislative Department, and Department of. Now we'll go for, see, we're not discussing all the ministries, we are not discussing all the authorities. A few ministries we discussed earlier. Now we'll go for SEBI. Okay. What is the expansion? Securities and Exchange Board of India. It's a regulatory body. Please highlight the codings. Regulatory body because its work is to regulate what? Securities and commodity market in India under the ownership. So who's taking which ministry is controlling? Z. Which ministry is when it is established? 12th April 1988. It's an executive body. Please highlight. It's not only regulating, it's also executing. It is given statutory powers, which means, see, who can make law? Please join here with me. Who can make law? Parliament, okay, state assemblies. But here, SEBI is given the powers by the ministry, that is Government of India. When the act was made, it was given quasi-judicial authority. What do you mean by the term quasi? Already I discussed quasi-contract. What do you mean by quasi? Half. So when we say SEBI, it's taking this quasi-judicial power, which means who can make law, who can give punishment, is all legislative body, implementing body and other things. Here SEBI is given this power. Okay, what power? It can make laws, which means it can make its own rules. It can make its own regulations. Not only that, while making the rules and regulations, it can fix its own penalty. Okay, super. So given statutory powers, which date per 30th Jan 1992, through which Act? SEBI's Act 1992. So when this board was established in Keta, you have to write this date. When the powers are given in Keta, you have to write this date. There are two dates here. Okay, please take note. Then we go for RBI, India's central bank and regulatory body responsible for regulation of the Indian banking system. It is under the ownership of Ministry of Finance, responsible for the control, issue and maintaining supply of the Indian rupee, manages the country's main payment system and works to promote its economic development. So when you talk about divisions and establishments of RBI, we can talk about Bharatiya Reserve Bank Note Mudran. So in short, we call it as BRBNM. It's a specialized division of RBI. Prints and mints Indian currency notes. Where it is located? Nasik and Divas. Okay. Western India and Central India. National Payments Corporation of India, established by RBI as one of the specialized division to regulate the payment and settlement systems in India. Then we have Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, established by RBI as one of the specialized division. When we use the term specialized, there is one particular purpose for it. What is the purpose? This is providing insurance of deposits and guaranteeing of credit facilities. That's why the name itself has Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation. Then we have Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. We have this code, right? Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Adoda form on a board. It's a regulator for overseeing what? Completely related to insolvency proceedings and entities. We have insolvency professional agencies, insolvency professionals and information utilities in India. IPA, IP and IU in India. Actually, when you finish your CA, actually, I think you need to get certain number of years of experience and you have to write an exam. Exam is near insolvency code. Insolvency professionals. Okay. Established on 1st October 2016, given statutory powers through which code? See, directly this board will not get the power. There should be statutory power given, right? As we did for SEBI, right? Likewise, it was given the power when per 5th May 2016 and it covers not only companies and LLPs. Please make a note. Individuals are covered in this. If an individual becomes bankrupted, in the code follow no insolvency and bankruptcy code. Okay. Company, LLP and partnership firms. It highlights, speeds up the resolution process for stressed assets. What do you mean by stressed? Probably you would have heard of this term, NPA, non-performing assets in banks and all. Non-performing assets, the economic development. So stress assets in the company simplifies the process of insolvency and bankruptcy code. Actually, the process earlier insolvent years insolvent போட்டுருவாங்க. See, பணம் ஒரு இடத்துல போய் சிக்கிக்கிச்சுன்னு அர்த்தம். கரெக்டா insolvent. இந்த கோட் வந்த பிறகு 180 days, இன்னும் மிஞ்சி போனா 90 days, which means 270 daysல அந்த ஆளை probably individual or company-யோட க்ளோஸ் பண்ணிடுவாங்க. Which means அதுக்குள்ள வேற வேலையை பார்ப்போமே, பணம் ஒரே இடத்துல முடங்கி கிடக்குன்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரே வேலையை நிக்க கூடாது இல்ல, நெக்ஸ்ட் டெவலப்மெண்ட் போகணும்ல. ஸோ மேக்ஸிமம் 270 daysல என்ன பண்ணிடுவாங்கன்னா கேஸை க்ளோஸ் பண்ணிடுவாங்க. ஓகே. And we have tribunals here. For company will follow National Company Law Tribunal. For debt recovery tribunal, we have something called as DR. Let us go for the structure of the Indian judicial system. Why we have the judiciary is already discussed. When there is a dispute between whom? Between citizen and citizen, okay, or citizen and Government. Government means we are talking about the government authorities also who are executing it. Okay. What is the function of the judiciary system is to regulate the interpretation of the act. It has already been given. Okay, who has given that? The legislative body has given, the parliament has a state assemblies. Now it is being executed. The problem here is when it goes for execution, I will understand act in a different way, you will understand in a different way. Interpretation மாறும்ல. So that's why we get this dispute. And this dispute has to be resolved, which means regulated. This dispute has to be regulated, right? Which means as per the right interpretation, this is the right one. அப்படின்னு தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும்னா we need to have an organ, that's the judiciary organ. So the full mechanism followed here is only on dispute resolution, and you need to promote the fairness among the citizens of the land. Okay. So we have the apex court called as the Supreme Court, the apex body of the judiciary, follows from Chapter 4, Part 5, Articles 124 to 147, detailing covers about the Supreme Court, established which date? We should not get doubt and all. Federal date 1937. This is about Supreme Court. This from the date of Constitution only. Only the Constitution of India, this chapter, this part, this article talks about Supreme Court of India, means from this date only we have Supreme Court. Okay. And here the judge will be called as the Justice of India, CJI in short. He is the highest authority appointed under which article? Article 124 to 147 covers the detailing provisions of the Supreme Court. But under which article he is appointed? 126. Okay. And there will be a principal bench. Bench means team of judges. Okay. Consists of 7 members, including the Chief Justice of India. And so far, number of Chief Justice of India is 34, including the Chief Justice. And Article 32 says an individual can seek relief in the Supreme Court by part of this habeas corpus and all. Okay, கேள்விப்படலனா பரவாயில்ல. 5 writ petitions இருக்கு. அதுல direct state and union territory. Actually, which is the highest court of appeal overall India, the Supreme Court. Okay, please try to understand. When we talk about state and union territory, this is the highest court of appeal. So, article jurisdiction and supervisory jurisdiction is there. Article 224 limits the High Court's supervisory power, because when we talk about High Court, it's only for the state, not for the central level. Okay, and number of High Courts we have 25, one for each state and union territory, and 6 states share a single High Court. When you talk about Tamil Nadu, we have 2 High Courts, right? Where and where? Chennai and Madurai. Okay. Article 226, an individual can seek remedy against violation of fundamental right in High Court by filing a writ petition. Directly seems to be similar to the earlier case. And is the oldest High Court edapa? Calcutta High Court. Is it okay? Decisions of High Court are binding in the respective state, but are only pervasive in other states. In that state, it's applicable. For other state, definitely differs matter by matter. Okay, case to case. Then we have district court. When you come for the level of hierarchy, it is below the High Court. We can discuss on civil law matters and criminal law matters. Actually, the heading here is one and here is another. Okay, please highlight. When you talk about district, civil law and criminal law matters. When you talk about district court, there will be a judge called as district judge. He will be dealing with civil matters related to contracts and other breaches. Under pecuniary jurisdiction, what do you mean by pecuniary? Talking in terms of value. Compensate damage எல்லாம் என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க? கால்ல விழுந்து மன்னிப்பு கேளுங்கன்னு சொல்ல மாட்டாங்க. பணமா தான வேல்யூ பண்ணுவாங்க. Pecuniary jurisdiction. Okay, a civil judge can try suits valuing not more than 2 crores. Please highlight. Okay, even though it calls a civil court, you can value up to 2 crores only. Criminal law matters deals with the court of sessions. Jurisdiction means the power to control, right? What do you mean by jurisdiction? What is the scope? What is the power to control? Court. Okay, நீங்க மாத்தி சொன்னீங்கன்னா வெளியே அனுப்பிச்சிடுவாங்க. Okay. And metropolitan, chief metropolitan magistrate and metropolitan magistrate. So, what is the power of the chief metropolitan magistrate? Is similar to the chief judicial magistrate. Civil court la judge ku enna power irukko adhe power criminal court la metropolitan magistrate ku power irukku. Chief metropolitan magistrate. Metropolitan magistrate similar to the court of a magistrate of the first class. So, under magistrate we'll have magistrate of first class, magistrate of okay. You know this when you go for criminal cases, we might have heard to this punishment. 1 year imprisonment, 3 years imprisonment, 5 years imprisonment, 7 years imprisonment, ஆயுள் தண்டனை 14 years, இல்லைன்னா hang to that. இதெல்லாம் எல்லா மெஜிஸ்ட்ரேட்டும் பண்ண முடியாது. மெஜிஸ்ட்ரேட் ஆஃப் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கிளாஸ், மெஜிஸ்ட்ரேட் ஆஃப் செகண்ட் கிளாஸ், தேர்ட் கிளாஸ்னு இருக்கு. ஸோ அவங்களுக்கு அவ்வளோதான் ரைட்ஸ் இருக்கு. ஓகே, ஸோ மெட்ரோபாலிட்டன் சிட்டிஸ்